cycle must stop. What has happened in recent days only makes an immediate ceasefire in Gaza even more urgent. You would have heard me say this before, and I say it again: Lebanon cannot become the next Gaza. I met with David Lammy, the UK Foreign Secretary, today, and we discussed our shared view that there is a need for a ceasefire in Lebanon. I know that this is something that will be discussed by international partners and the international community, including the Security Council this evening. Can I say this in relation to Gaza? I reiterate Australia's call alongside so many here at the United Nations for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Hostages must be released and aid must flow. If I can return now to consular issues in Lebanon and say again to the Australian Lebanese community, this is a deeply distressing situation for so many of you. I know that there are many Australians in Lebanon. There are many Australians who have relatives, family and friends in Lebanon. I again urge Australians in Lebanon to leave now. There are flight cancellations and disruptions, and there is a risk that Beirut Airport may close for an extended period of time. I again say, please do not wait for a preferred route. Please take the first option you can to leave. We continue to monitor the situation closely. We have been working with partners on contingency plans now for many months. But I again say to any Australian who is in Lebanon, please leave now. Finally, just to recap on what I have been engaged in today. Today I've met, as I said, with the UK Foreign Secretary, David Lammy. I've met with the President of the Maldives. I've met with the Palestinian Authority's Prime Minister, and also with the opposition leader of Belarus, a country which has seen the same sort of weight of Russian involvement that we have seen so much of in recent years. I've also attended the Foreign Ministers' meeting of the G20 and a meeting on sea level rise, which we know is of such concern to the Pacific family, and spoke with that meeting about our Tuvalu-Fallapili Union, which contains really groundbreaking commitments in international law. This morning I was very proud to join the Foreign Ministers of Germany, Canada and the Netherlands to support Germany's push to hold the Taliban to account under international law for the Taliban's treatment of women and girls. We know the women and girls of Afghanistan are effectively being erased from public life by the various edicts the Taliban have issued. The steps we are taking with Germany, Canada and the Netherlands are unprecedented. We are intending to use the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, to which Afghanistan is a party, to take action. The Taliban have demonstrated their contempt for human rights and fundamental freedoms of women and girls, and they have engaged in a campaign of sustained and systematic oppression. What I said at the meeting this morning is we have two choices. We can say stay silent, or we can act in solidarity with the women and girls of Afghanistan. I'm happy to take some questions.
Minister, you say you've been discussing contingencies on the position faced by Australians in Lebanon. Is there any chance that some of those Australians seeking to get out might get some military assistance to depart in the days ahead?
Look, we have been working on contingencies, and obviously we continue to engage with partners about those contingencies, but I will again say what I said yesterday, which is we have very large numbers at this stage of Australians in Lebanon. It would not be possible for the government to assist all Australians in Lebanon, which is why I have been urging people to leave for some months. Obviously, we'll continue to work with partners about what arrangements can be made, but I again say the numbers would render it unlikely that we would be able to help all Australians who are in Lebanon, which is why I again say if you are in Lebanon and you wish to leave, you should do so now. If you are in Lebanon and you are an Australian, you should leave by whatever route you can.
French President Emmanuel Macron has warned Israel that they should not extend the conflict into Lebanon without consequences. What consequences should Israel face?
Well, I'm not going to speak for President Macron, but I think the sentiment that he is expressing in that is the same sentiment that many here in New York have been expressing. It's the same concern that David Lammy and I were focused on in our bilateral, which is the consequences for civilians in the region of a wider conflict. Remember, the reason we have all been urging restraint through this is because we know what a wider conflict would mean to all the peoples of the region.
What is your current assessment? We've heard from the IDF that they are potentially preparing to have boots on the ground. Do you believe a full-scale war between Israel and Hezbollah is likely?
Well, I hope that is not the case, and I will continue working with others here in New York, because I think the international community needs to make a very clear statement in relation to the situation in Lebanon, and needs to be very clear about the risks of regional escalation, not just to the people of Lebanon, but to the people of Israel.
Minister Michelle Nichols from Reuters.
Hello.
Does your contingency planning involve evacuations to Cyprus? And have you had any indications from the US and the French today as to whether their efforts to de-escalate the situation with regard to Lebanon has been successful?
Well, there are ongoing discussions in relation to that last issue, I think, as I outlined, including it is scheduled for a discussion of the Security Council tonight, and we hope the Security Council and the broader international community can move to de-escalate the situation. In relation to the first question, you would anticipate we are looking at the full range of options in terms of contingency arrangements, but I again make the point about capacity, which is this. We have a great many Australians in Lebanon. We would urge you to leave now whilst you still can.
Minister, given the statements of a general in the Israeli Defence Forces to troops now widely reported that telling them that they're going to have their boots on the ground in Hezbollah-controlled villages in southern Lebanon, do you believe Israel has justification for a ground invasion?
I would say that Lebanon cannot become the next Gaza.
You met with representatives from the Palestinians. Can I just ask what you spoke to them about, and what did they ask of Australia?
We had a very constructive discussion. They are aware of the position Australia has taken on many issues. They are aware of the decisions we've taken to demonstrate support, both in action and word, for the Palestinian cause. They know that the very clear view of Australia and of this government is that the only way to peace and security for both Israel and for Palestinians is with a two-state solution. And we'll continue to engage with them.
But there is a report that Australia might be looking to offer Ukraine tanks, old Australian tanks. Can you just tell us what the progress is there, and is that a possibility in the future?
I would say to you, this has been raised, I think, publicly and certainly with me by the Minister previously, and as I said to him, I expressed that we would communicate that request to Defence. We will continue to do all we can to assist Ukraine and to support Ukraine. We are the largest non-NATO military contributor to Ukraine. I met with the Minister this week and assured him of our continued support, and we certainly will continue to look at ways in which we can support Ukraine.
You met with your Chinese counterpart yesterday. Can I ask, were Joe Biden's comments that were caught seemingly on a hot mic at the Quad raised during that meeting? He described China as acting aggressively. Was that brought up by your Chinese counterpart? And what did he have to say about that?
Certainly the Quad is something we have discussed in this and other bilaterals. I've explained to Foreign Minister Wang Yi, Australia is engaged in the Quad just as we engage in all other forums in pursuit of peace, stability and prosperity. And that's what we work with partners to achieve. Thanks very much.
Thanks all.